evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to your premier platform for league racing here on F1 2022. It is, of course, Cone Racing League. We are back here on the Monday night, 8:15 BST for tier number 4. I am your host, back in the box again, CRL Freefall, or Mr. Scott Dodds, as you can see by them lovely little graphics down the bottom left hand corner. And you'll also notice the man, the myth, and the ever-present commentator for this season is also alongside me as my co-host, the one, the only, Liam Angelo Garrick! How are you doing tonight, mate?
I'm honoured to be here with you, Scott.
The honour is all mine.
It feels like one of those intros to boxing where they come out.
We better watch we get trademark striked for that.
Oh dear, yeah, but no, it's lovely to be here with you in the commentary booth. Yep, been here for how many races now? 4?
This is round number 4. Yep.
Yeah, so
round number 4 here in Monza, of course. Season number 7. 15 round calendar, as we like to have here, ever present in CRL. Great Britain, Spain and Brazil, your rounds by with so far. The sprint race in Brazil last week, of course, the first of the official format sprint races in CRL history. 2 more of them coming up in the season. Round 8 in Jeddah and round 15 to round it off in Bahrain. Of course, speaking of last week, AFL made it 2 wins out of 3, taking that top spot on the podium. Ferguson, the reserve in, formerly known as AAF, I do believe, picking up the second spot as MKP, getting third. Matt Rowney, though, coming top of the pots in the Sprint Championship, and I love to see that. Murphy getting a P6 in the sprint race as well. AFL, though, 2 wins out of 3, top of the championship table. MKP and Curly, of course, getting that win in the second round. He is up there as well. Liam, you've seen it all firsthand. But we're back here for round 4, and the cars are making their way around the circuit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of cars already out on the circuit. Obviously, I'd expect these drivers to be running close to 0-0 wings. I'm not sure what you would expect from them. I think VFL Faker, he's going to start a lap now. Activates the DRS around about now and heading down the Monza straight at 315 kilometers an hour. Down to turn 1, heavy braking, brake at the 100-meter board. Takes turn 1 and 2 pretty nicely, gets a decent exit as he's approaching Curva Grande now. A long swooping right-hander. And goes 26.8 sector 1 split, takes the second chicane pretty nicely, doesn't touch the curb as it could spin out your car, or if you're running lower FPS, it won't do anything, as you all know. But DRS once again active, reaching about 340 kilometers an hour. Ooh, and goes a little bit wide for Ascari and still manages to keep it valid for, even though he extends and now approaching the Parabolica. And he'll brake nicely for it, doesn't go wide, hits the apex pretty nicely, gets a decent exit. And coming across the line now, he'll set a 121.8 banker.
First lap of the session, immediately beaten out by Ryan Hussey in the Williams, a 20.9. Ferguson is rounding Parabolica. He, of course, getting on the podium in the previous races. What can he do to start off this session? A 25.5 must have been a mistake in there somewhere. Plenty of yellow flags. I'm hoping that's just cars letting each other by. I was going to jump in MKP, sorry, one of the title contenders, but he hasn't validated. SUFC, I believe, one of our reserves in tonight is MUFC Harvey. Speaking of this man, MUFC Harvey, he has made the drop down from tier 3 into tier 4, and I know this man very, very well. He's a legend on this CRL grid. I believe Nathan DC, some of the older boys, the more veterans of the community will know, but I'm sure he's been around since season 2, maybe season 3. He's got some serious pace at times, if he can keep it in track limits. SUFC, though, crosses the line at 21.5. But already, Liam, getting into the high to mid-20s. Decent promise here for this qualifying session already. Wuban crosses the line at 21.1, sees him go P3.
Yeah, I mean, times look competitive now, but come the end of the session, I wonder if anyone will break the 19s, and I know Hussey spins at Parabolica. It's unfortunate for him. I think he was on a hot lap, or if he wasn't, then yeah, no, he wasn't judging from his ERS. Anyone that's on a lap, I think Prego gets a pit, so
Mark Wilson on
yeah,
one,
there's
he
not.
just crossed the line at 21.9, sees him go P7. And I think for the most part, apart from wee Kami, who looks to be all out of sorts and shape there, he must be going for another lap again after this, making a little mistake on his first flying lap. A lot of the cars either on a cool down in lap or back in the pits at this stage, Liam.
Yeah, gonna get their second runs in very, very soon. 4 stops for qualifying rather than 3, and the 1 medium. You all know the top 10 rule doesn't really apply anymore.
Yeah, big shape up in the qualifying format this season. Mimicking that in real life, of course, here on the F1 2022 game. Top 10 getting a free choice, just like everybody else in the grid. And personally, well, my personal opinion is I'm a little bit disappointed because I find the tyre wear is actually quite interesting in this game. The way that a lot of circuits are medium hards. Could you imagine, Liam, if you are throwing drivers out there, the strategy is medium hard. You've got to start in the soft. What are you going to do? Do you go for that qualifying position? Do you not? Sadly, we won't ever get to see it, but I think it would have been the perfect game for it.
Yeah, I mean, personally, this is reminding me a little bit of F1 2018, where the ultra soft was the tire to go on, and then hit the mediums for your second and maybe third stint you'll go on the soft. So it's very interesting to see. I think this track could be a soft medium, but don't take my word for it, as wee Kami already retires from the session.
That's an interesting one. That was in the pits. He did come out doing outlap. I wonder if I believe Rikami is a reserve, so I wonder if there was maybe from the last time he did race, if it was a qualifying ban. I don't recall seeing anything, but could be mistaken. It is a bit strange. Either that, or he just fancies a little bit of a challenge. Maybe going for that driver of the day, driver of the week voting, coming from P20 through to maybe take a surprise win here in Monza. Time will tell. I'm on board with his teammate though, Tomo Tip-Top again. Another mainstay in this league. That name has been about for as long as I've been in this league, and in fact probably even longer. He sets a purple sector 1 now. Again, first time commentating on this game, Dean, I'll be honest. I'm not too sure if the same old glitches for purple sectors are still in here. Time will tell, of course, throughout this season.
Will I disappoint you?
It's still here. It's Codemasters, of course the glitches are still here. But here he goes into the final part of this lap. A nice clean run through a scary, getting a good exit as well, down towards Parabolica. Yellow flag's further back in the lap. I don't know if that's a spin out of Lesmo 2 or just a car getting out of the way. But Tomo Tip-Top going into Parabolica now. Runs a little bit wide almost there, almost invalidating you would say, but he is going to cross the line and set a 1:20.0, putting him back up into P3. And I think for a man of his sort of grandeur and legacy around the league, that's a very, very good position for him. AFL though, your championship leader, can only manage a 22.7 on his first flying run. 9 minutes still to go in this session, so plenty of time for him to improve.
Yeah, a lot of time for him to improve, really. I mean, it's not over until it's over, until the clocks hit 0:00. I was going to say something about you saying at 1:20.0 for Tomo Tip-Top. It's 1:21.0, Scott, in case you forgot to read.
Sorry, it's that time of night where my ones turn into zeros. I'm a bit like a broken down computer, not quite sure or able to tell the difference. That's a Danny Mac level joke there, I would say. If you know, you know. Speaking of Danny Mac, let's get on board with his good friend CRL Murphy, one of the Darlow boys, and again your tier admin and an old, almost a grandfather figure when it comes to this tier 4. He's rounding the final corner, getting a run up to the line, hoping to improve in his time, and he does a 21.5, not a 25, a 21.5, Liam. Got it right that time.
I'm so proud of you, Scott. But I think for most of the drivers, I think they can definitely break into the 20s by the end of the session. And, you know, I'd expect people like Harvey to maybe, just maybe, break into the 19.9s.
I'm going to be a little bit less optimistic than you, maybe. I'm going to go for a 20.4 pole.
Okay, yeah, that is reasonable. Maybe Track Evolution won't hit as hard.
I think it's I'm not quite sure. I think the tier 3 pole time was a low 20, maybe a high 19 if I'm mistaken. So I expect these guys to be a little, not much off, don't get me wrong, but a little bit off the sort of time we were seeing there. Pole time for Firsty in tier 1, I believe, is going to be a low 19, maybe even an 18.9. Answers on a postcard, and from a faster driver than me, to be honest. It's Franco Pompey, as he used to be known. Franco 17, losing it out of Ascari, losing that front wing, but all 4 wheels still attached to that Alfa Romeo, and he will have time to get back to the pits, get another set of tyres on, another front wing, and go again. Is that a commentator's curse, Liam?
Not entirely sure at the moment, but Ascari seems to be the one corner where every game it'll catch you out. Hold on, I'll be back real quick.
Speaking of which, Ferguson in the sister Alfa Romeo has crashed out at that precise corner. Maverick jumping up to P11 with a 21.7. We've got a Ferrari going to complete their lap next. Is that AFL? It is. He currently finds himself in 18th place, not where you expect the championship leader to be sitting at this stage in qualifying, and he does improve on his time, but not by enough to gain a single position. It is 18th at the moment for your championship leader. Won 2 out of 3 so far this season, and it's looking to stay 2 out of 4 with the pace he's showing at the moment. But of course, qualifying isn't everything. You don't win points on a Saturday, you win them on a Sunday, Liam. Are we all good?
Yep. I know this all too well. From my past experiences in Cone Tier 1. Put on pole, I think, several times, came out with less than 1 point. So.
Of course, yes, I got to see that firsthand. Tier 1 commentary last season alongside Jamie. You came in as a reserve, I believe it was at Kota, had blistering pace in the rain, and what was that? What's them things that you drink milk out of? Oh, bottles. That's what happened. You bottled it, and sadly
Mommy's
for you,
bottle.
couldn't convert it to any major points.
Oh well, and enough talking about me. Let's talk about the Tier 4 grids. Moving on from this very, very sad topic that is known as Liam Parry's career in CRL Tier 1.
Absolutely. I suppose, speaking of the grid, we've touched on it very briefly. MUFC Harvey is now full-time in that McLaren. He sadly replaces Chimp, who's funny Oz Chimp, ironically, is going for a funny old trip to Australia, so we wish him all the best. Sad to see him go away as a very, very lovable lad here in the community, but I'm sure he'll be back at some point. Ferguson also takes the Alfa Romeo seat full-time, Kylet dropping down to reserves due to other commitments. Again, sad to see, but a chance for these other drivers to step up and get a chance to race. Jim Willem crossing the line. He goes P11 with a 21.6. He is, of course, a full-time driver. Those that are not SUFC, Wee Cammy and Ryan Hussey Hussey, I don't know how to say it, because one of them words is a kind of dodgy word. I'll just call him Rhino. They're all reserves in for tonight's race. Good chance to show what they're made of, and maybe put the little stake out there that if a full-time seat does come up, Liam, it should be me that's in it. That's what the reserve role's there for.
Yeah. God, my thumb's not. I'm sorry. There was other things going on. I'm on board with Spider Rob at the moment. He's currently on a hot, I think, although he's running on less than 10% ERS, so I doubt he'll complete this lap. But might as well stay on board with him anyways. Going at a relatively decent speed.
Yeah, I'm having a little look around there. I don't know if there's anybody on a proper flying lap at the moment. Matt Rowney leaving the session. Hopefully he can get back in. I know there is a few.
Franco seems to be in a proper flying lap. Alfa Romeo down in P17. He'll set a 26.3 split for Sector 1. Had an okay second chicane attempt. As we approach the first Lasmo, hits the apex well, gets a really nice exit. And for the second Lasmo, all about hooking it up for the next straight. DRS wide open once again. And now cruising at around 330 kilometers an hour. On brake at the 100 meter board, hit the apex for a Ascari, hook it up for the next few corners, gets a decent exit, no curb to catch him out. As he's now full pedal to the metal. Down to Parabolica he goes, hits the apex, gets a really nice run up towards the line. And he'll set a 121.2, puts him in P7 right behind his teammate who's out of the session.
Yeah, Ferguson, his teammate, full-time driver coming in, taking a vacant seat. He crashed out at a Ascari, similar to his teammate, but not keeping all four world wheels on the car. Good lap from Franco, though. Rhino, just in the comments there, and good to see a lot of chat going on in the comments again tonight. We love to see all the support from you guys down there. Apparently I crucified his surname, so apologies for that. Spider Rob, I believe, is going to be coming into the pits. Yes, he is. Few cars starting their final run now, so we'll try and get a good run on with somebody who's on pace. Maybe MUFC Harvey. He looks to be just beginning the final bit of prep work for a last flying lap. The current pole sitter, I reckon he's got a few temps in his locker here, ready and waiting to be unleashed and improved. Just don't discount Rhino though, we'll keep an eye on him as the laps go on. He is of course the car behind him, so maybe we can see the difference between the two pole challengers, I would say, at the moment. Of course, Toma Tiptop, Wuban, Ferguson and Wee Kami have all retired and won't be able to improve on their lap times. Could MKP find the half a second or so he needs to challenge for it?
He's invalidated, so and MKP has. Rhino Hussey a 10th and a half up. MUFC, I did not catch that. So Ryan Harvey, he's approaching the second Lesmo now, approaching the second DRS as well. Cruising down the back straight before Ascari. 2/10 down on his time. And invalidates his time, so he won't improve. Rhino Hussey, though, he's still on a valid lap. Takes Ascari really nicely. And it's full power until Parabolica. Breaks up the 50-meter board, hits the apex so nicely. And he spins! He bowls his final lap!
Just losing it there on the apex of Parabolica. He can't improve. And it looks to be, unless this man here or a few others can improve, it looks to be an MUFC on his return to Tier 4 taking the pole position. Murphy rounding the final corner, rounding Parabolica, run down to the finish line, does improve, P12 only for him and the glass car to finish their lap will be SUFC 69, who does so in the pits. So qualify and compete here for round 4 of Tier 4 Season 7 CRL. And it's MUFC Harvey, the Tier 3 driver, dropping back down into Tier 4, who takes pole by just under 2 tenths from Rhino. Tomo Tip Top, Woodan, MKP, Ferguson, Franco, F's, UFC, Craigo and Matt Rowney round off your top 10 2000s between Matt Rowney and Mark Wilson in P10 and 11. Murphy, Jim, Maverick, Faker, Spider-Rob, Ghost Angel 1, AFL, Tofar and Wee Kami round off your grid. And it's
I'll just say that
based on that, a nice competitive race here.
And I just say that Harvey, his pole time was his banker. There's clearly so much more for his he's got loads more pace, obviously. I'm struggling to find my words tonight. Definitely the after effects of drinking from last night. Anyways, we'll leave it at that.
But Liam, look at this from P3 to P12. 2.5 tenths separating those 9-10 drivers or so. That's going to be an almighty battle if that pace continues into the race.
I expect a lot of dive bombs tonight. But
could be a few. Plenty of hard braking zones for those chicanes. Some very, very high speed corners though, with the likes of Ascari and of course the tricky Parabolica and Lelesmos to contend for these drivers. 27 laps though stand between us and a winner here in Monza. 28 if you count the lovely, lovely formation lap. Of course, a chance for the cars to warm up their brakes, their tyres, and at that point as well will be our first glimpse of the tyre strategy for our lovely grid tonight, Liam. Soft medium could be on the cards, or it could be the standard medium hard, but there is the dreaded safety car, virtual safety car, and it's blue skies at the moment, but anything can happen.
I was kind of hoping for a wet race, could spice things up, as AFL has left the lobby. So him and Matt Rowney, they've been experiencing server issues by the looks of things.
I did note before we got in, there was a few drivers on shaky, shall we say, connection bars, a few reds and oranges in there. Hopefully those drivers can get reconnected in time for the race, and hopefully it doesn't cause any glitches with the lobbies, because we all know how Codemasters love their rejoining and formation lap glitches. It's a major pain at times. Panda in the chat there, I've just noticed there's a belter of a joke in there somewhere saying an Irishman and a Scotsman walk into an Italian bar.
Oh.
Love to see that, Panda. Love the jokes and the chat going on down below. But here we go, our first glimpse of strategy. Your top 11 all start on those yellow walled medium tyres. Murphy, Faker, Spider Rob, Topher, Wee Kami in the bottom half of the field, all opting for the hards. Doom, Ghost Angel 1 and AFL opting for the same choice as the top 11 with the mediums, and Maverick, the Alpine in P14, he's chosen the softs, the outlier of the field. Brilliant.
Definitely one to watch, I think.
Absolutely. He's going to be lightning pace, not only just in the general pace of the soft tyre, but he's going to have a much easier time warming it up in this formation lap here. Should have a mighty launch compared to those around him. Definitely one to watch. We have seen some drama
if he gets
Liam, into turn 1, sorry, just to jump in, I don't know if you know of it, but the exploits of Jack DNF, there's been some belter of carnage into turn one when somebody's had a great start from Italy. So hopefully nothing like that
Oh,
tonight. But time will
well,
tell.
well, you know, I expect it in every league. It's not just this league. I expect Monza Tier 1 dive bombs and the whole oh, holy sends. I I definitely expect one tonight. I think it's fair for me to assume that, but maybe not. I'm hoping these guys won't. But cars are now lining up for the grid slots. We'll see how many will get disqualified. I think usually 6 or 7 from last time out. If I recall correctly.
I do like them numbers. I must admit I've done maybe close to 10 to 20 races with the 5 lappers, 50%ers, etc. And I think I've got it in the box twice. So
Oh,
it's not as easy as it looks. Or maybe I'm just doing something wrong. Tomo Tip Top getting disqualified.
Franco,
Franco further back
Cyril Murphy
Murphy.
for the third week running.
You can
By the way,
see on the left side of the grid that Williams, how further back he is in that pit box, or that starting grid box, sorry, just what the disqualification does for you, and I believe that is 6 exactly, Liam.
yes. Anyways,
We are on the grid here anyways, ready for the Italian Grand Prix with 5 red lights, lights out, and away we go for round 4 of CRL Tier 4 Season 7. A little bit of jostling. Rhino getting a very, very poor start from P2 in the Williams. They're almost 3 wide. Here goes Tomo Tip
oh,
Top.
and they go deep into turn 1.
Getting a free
Tomo
second
Tip Top.
penalty, having the cut already. SUFC getting a good start as well. Rhino losing out a lot and looking relatively clear apart from a few at the back there, Liam. Saying that, there's a huge crash at the front. Your pole sitter, MUFC Harvey, that is a very, very strange one. Getting pushed into the wall on the right hand side of the track there. I
didn't
can
see
only
that.
assume there was some contact, and I'm surprised that's not a safety car.
Wait, what happened? Did Tomo Tip Top shove him into a wall?
No, he was in P2, and all I caught was I was on board with FUC, and I basically just seen a McLaren merging with the wall. I'm not entirely sure what's went on there. There must have been some sort of contact. It was in the rundown to the second chicane. AFL has no front wing by the looks of it, so I don't know if he got caught up in the aftermath of that, but oh no, he does have a front wing. I'm just blind.
Keep your eyes on Faker, though.
Too sure. There doesn't seem to be any damage at the front runners. Ferguson, SUFC, MKP, all intact, who might have been involved, and it's a mystery.
Yeah, I'm actually very curious as to what happened, but show must go on. AFL has left the session, so could be more internet issues. As the cars, they seem to be struggling through 1 and 2.
Yeah, we're just watching there Matt Rowney go side by side with Franco, almost struggling for the space to go too wide there. A little bit elbows outy, shall we say. It didn't look anything too untoward. Craigo there was really, really close to the gearbox of the Aston Martin as FUFC into the second chicane and just really having a bad exit to the corner. Losing out. Yellow flags further back. That looks to be wee Cammy having a spin at the second chicane. Those curbs, like we have said, can absolutely send you.
Yeah, they can. Unless they made contact, because there were 2 spinners at the time at the exact corner. AFL has retired from the session.
And that's a VSC.
Any safety? Okay, VSC.
VSC.
Oh.
No yellow car coming out of the pits. So a full VSC essentially here, folks. I know most of you will know, but you know, I've got to do my crofty for those that maybe don't know. The race is now nullified. Every driver has a set time delta that they must comply to, and it really can spring up surprises here about how good a sort of restart, how well you can maybe catch the car in front, and that those intervals will stretch out a little bit over the course of this VSC. As of course the cars are moving a little bit slower than they would when up to full race pace. Surprised that's the first one though. I really am surprised we didn't see one for the MUFC Harvey crash. That was a really big one at that. But 2 laps
For
in,
years.
2 cars gone, and a drive-through penalty for Mark
Oh.
Wilson exceeding the delta. Not what you need running in P7 at the moment. He was looking in a decent points paying position at the early stage of this Grand Prix, but we are back under green flag racing.
Ferguson, he doesn't get too much of a good of a good restart. Claws in a couple of hundreds, but loses those hundreds to Ascari now. Is there any battles on track at the moment? I think Baker and Bubon at the moment are the 2 closest on track.
Yeah, I'm just the guys watching the stream there will of course seen there was a few cars within 2, 3, 4, 10 for each other, and every time I swapped across they seemed to close up, but Rhino's had a spin on the exit of Parabolica. He's dropped right down the pack. I don't know if he's got any damage, I hope not for his sake, but losing out massively in time and position. Faker closing to the back of that Red Bull of Wuban's, not quite able to make a move into turn 1. Mark Wilson though, all over the gearbox of Craigo. The battle for P5 currently contested between about 4 cars here. Mark Wilson the closest of those 4 to the car in front. He's got Matt Rowney and Franco very, very close behind him, and a mistake from one could see not 1 position loss, but maybe up to 3 here. Good battles early on. Out front, Tomo Tip Top 2 seconds clear at the front. Ferguson and MKP currently battling for P2 and P3, and SUFC sort of in a little world of his own in P4.
Yeah, Ferguson and MKP though swapping positions through Ascari. Such a risky move to swap positions. MKP going back for the position now. Ferguson feeds the position, maybe thinking better of it, trying to get the DRS down the main straight.
This little squabble between them two, it's lit that 1.6 second gap SUFC had to the front, to the 2 in front of him. It's let him regain up and join in with this battle. MKP, Ferguson going side by side. Ferguson getting the move done with that DRS assist, but MKP not surrendering the position lightly, tries to hold it down the inside, but the gap just never going to be there. Faker picking up a 5-second speeding penalty for the pits as Matt Rowney makes a move on Franco in the exit of the first chicane. Plenty of action so far in this first part of the Grand Prix. Really shows that maybe the tight, especially in this midfield, this grid has to show.
Oh, and Franco goes for the move, shoving Matt Rowney off to the runoff. I think Rubon, he loses the position too during that squabble. Back up to MKP and Ferguson now. SCFC, he's been gapped by MKP and Ferguson, while Tomo Tip Top gapping the front, the rest of the field.
Yeah, Tomo Tip Top pulling out nearly a second within the last lap and a half. He's got some blistering speed at the moment on those mediums, but bear in mind he does have a 3-second time penalty. We do have yellow flags further back through the field, and that looks to be the Williams of Murphy dropping round and down through the field. Franco leaving the session, maybe another disconnection. Hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come with disconnection issues, as Mark Wilson does come into the pits to serve his drive-through penalty, and MKP swapping once again with Ferguson for P2. SUFC once again in the second half of the lap, closing up immediately on the exit of turn 1 and 2, losing out tremendously, and Craigo losing out a few positions. Looked like he had to go off the run up there on turn 1.
Yeah, I didn't catch that entirely. But as you were commentating, Rhino, he sets the fastest lap of a 1:24, I believe. So showing the pace he could have had, the pace he could have challenged Tomo Tip Top with. As I think MKP, he's closing in the gap now. It was 3.2 seconds earlier, so definitely the delta coming down between the two drivers.
Of course, those two, they'll be able to maybe sort of slingshot, piggyback off each other with the DRS. I'm actually watching a very nice battle here for P14. Mark Wilson, Mikami and Ghost Angel 1. Mikami and Ghost Angel 1. There'll be some people screaming at their TVs at the moment watching this. One very low ERS. In fact, Mikami trying to get the move on Mark Wilson at one point had 0% ERS in his locker. So battles all through the field. Rhino on the back of Craigo. Now the two blue cars, the Williams and the Alpine, going side by side on the start-finish straight, and Rhino getting the move done clear of turn 1. Maverick 6 laps on those softs, deciding that is enough. He's going to slam on a set of hards, and Doom 6 laps as well on the mediums. So a little bit interesting there. Maybe Doom's struggling with tyre wear. I don't know if he had any damage, but he is stopped at the same amount of laps as Maverick on those softs. Of course, Maverick, I believe, getting caught up with some turn 1 shenanigans, maybe impacting his stint on the softs, but fresh in the hards. He's going to have nice clean air here for the next few laps at least. Time to put in some stellar lap times and try and really claw his way back up into a nice position by the end of this race.
Yeah. Not much for me to add at the moment, to be honest. Grid is starting to spread out just a tad bit. I think that's one of the more typical things you'd see in league racing, especially in Monza, where the grid starts to separate. Even if the quality gaps are times are close, the grid will eventually spread out.
Absolutely, but it's about to be pulled all back in together. I believe, if I'm seeing this right, is this a full course safety car?
Yes,
it is.
Kami has retired by Ascari, so curb catching him out. By the looks of things, he probably got on the outside curb at the exit of Ascari, lost it, and put it in the left side of the track.
Very easy mistake to do. We've seen it catch up a few drivers in qualifying. It takes its first victim in the race. This is hearty for Maverick and Doom just pitting one that lap earlier. Maverick jumping back into the pits, however, going on a set of mediums now. 19 laps. Let's take away 2 for the safety car. 17 laps on the mediums. Certainly could be viable, or whether he's going to hope for a little short stint on another set of softs at the end, time will tell. But we're on board with a race leader here. What decision is he going to make? It is, of course, going to be to box. And I suspect we'll see a set of white striped hard tyres go on to all 3, in fact all 6 of the front runners.
Yeah, not a surprise here at all. It is interesting now. You're Tomo tip top, right? You have a 3-second time penalty. You'll be hoping, and MKP will start slipping behind you in terms of track extending. You can't really pull away from this track unless you're outside the DRS zone.
The DRS train can be very, very deadly. Doom making, by the looks of it, I'm on board with Spider Rob, him and Topher, starting on the hards, going long on those hards. As is Murphy, up them for track position, and it looks as if Doom's made the cardinal sin of league racing. He's pit while at the back of the field, and by the time he's got back out, he's stuck behind the leader and the safety car. Maybe should have went on another lap, then chose to pit. He's already at the back, and he wouldn't have been caught a lap down. A shame to see. It is a little bit frustrating, I think is the word to describe the sort of safety car system in this game that doesn't really let people unlap themselves. So it is a disappointment for Doom in the Red Bull, but not all over, of course. 12 points paying positions here in CRL while the cars go around in. I suppose have a little touch on, see the nice fancy graphic the one and only AJ Wuhan has mocked up for the points. Oh no, it won't, because I don't have it loaded because he didn't make it up. Oh, I
Nice.
don't have it to hand. Anyway, 12
Nice.
points Bane's positions here in CRL this season. Last season, of course, it was 15 points with the race winner. 15 positions, sorry, with the race winner getting 40 points. This season, 12 points Bane positions with the race leader, only getting 30. So it makes them gaps a little bit larger almost, you could say. Points are a bit more valuable this season. We won't see the same points tallies as we've seen the last few seasons. So it does make every position, every point, that little bit more valuable. Back to the racing though, Liam. Your top 6 all on hards, a mix of new and a mix of old. Ferguson in P7, he's got 5 seconds speeding penalty for coming into the pits a little bit too hot. He's opted for the softs. Now, we've seen, I believe it was Maverick, took them about 7 laps, so he could easily get them to about lap. By the time the safety car comes in, he can maybe do a soft to the end here. Of course,
Yeah,
the hards. The hards all going to be able to make it to the end, apart from those 3 that you can see with the 9 laps. They're going to have the pit most likely for mediums, maybe softs. So we've got a real sort of divergence of strategy here. If you had to pick any of those, who would you be? Which strategy would you be on? The fresh hards, the old hards maybe playing for track position, or the softs just going full tilt, full leather, ignoring penalties and maybe track position or whatever? Which one would you prefer?
I'd rather be the one on the new hards. You don't have to worry about picks anymore. Only thing you got to worry about is another safety car to throw in the works. By then, you're already in the lead because you know these 2 will eventually have to stop. It's a mandatory stop, mind you, where you have to use a different compound. But the safety car is coming in now, so
Safety car
fairly late call.
This lap. Yeah, very late call. It's normally sort of the end of the second sector. Spider Rob is, of course, now the de facto safety car. He will be able to go when he chooses, not leaving too much space to the safety car coming into he's getting run. So he's not going to get a great run, but of course you want to leave it as late as you can here at Monza due to that start-finish straight. And to be fair, it looks to have paid off for him. Tomo Tip Top having a little look down the inside of Topher, not quite able to make it.
And they're safe. There's turn 1 collisions. And I think it was Cyril Murphy who collided with the back Ferguson. He actually makes up a little bit of positions.
Oh, there's a big one further back. Sorry to jump in, Liam. Craigo coming off to the right-hand side. He rebounded off the barrier into the path of Franco in the Alfa Romeo. That was a big incident. I'm not quite sure how that happened for Craigo. There must have been a little bit of collision or something in there causing him to go off to the right. That was a huge one. And further back, Ferguson coming together with Topher. Murphy sneaking through, getting 2 positions. It's been a little bit of a chaotic restart here.
Yeah, and more action for Ferguson. He's going to go for the move on Topher. He's going to defend his position. Drew Ascari, we go now. Topher, he seats the position. Ferguson, he gets the position. And now he'll set off after Cyril Murphy. Fairly good scrap, actually. I did not expect much of that.
It was a very good strap, but I feel as if it may have been slightly overshadowed by what was going on in the background. I know it was the Red Bull of Wuban, and I'm not quite sure who else, but there was an almighty collision through the apex of Ascari, and that is another retirement. We are down to 15 runners. I believe it was Rhino. He is in the pits, getting involved in that at Ascari, and it's been, I think Daniel Brewer's in the comments describes it the best. It's been chaos.
Oh yes, the broad for Mark Wilson, shall we say. Anyways, moving on quickly. Yeah, it's been a crazy first 12 laps, to be fair. Maybe from lap 4 to lap was it 8 until the safety car came out, where just a bit dull. And then safety car coming in, bringing a lot of action into the race now. But Tomo Tip Top, he's already checking out from the rest of the field, getting an excellent restart.
Yeah, 1.3, 1.2 seconds clear of Spider Rob. Of course, Spider Rob will have to make that mandatory pit stop. So MKP is your net P2 at the moment, though he's looking to make it the actual P2. The run down in Spider Rob into turn 1, has a little look, thinks better of it. Of course, DRS will only be re-enabled this lap, so he didn't have that at this point,
Oh,
but
and
he's not
NKP.
going to need it. He's getting a better launch out of turn 2, round the outside of
But Spider,
but Spider Rob hanging in there. And in fact,
I think he has the superior straight line speed set as Spider Rob.
so a
Just
little change in setup between the two being the difference by the looks of things.
Yeah, it definitely is. But Spider Rob, sorry, I'm losing my words here. I'm not doing a very good job tonight. But MKP, he's taken the position away from Spider Rob. So MKP goes a little bit wide. It could be more action here. No, Spider Rob doesn't get the exit needed, but it's not over yet. SUFC, he joins in the fight. And Spider Rob, he's going really wide. So maybe them hards are not the one anymore.
He is coming into the pits. Maybe they're starting to wear off. Think I was just going to jump in there. He had significantly less ERS battery deployment in his tank than the two round about him. I love that. I love that from Dragon in the comments saying after that safety car restart, CRC Tier 4 going to be renamed back to CRA. That's a nice little throwback for some of the older members in the community back to a few seasons ago, where this of course was the Cone Racing Academy. Has been from essentially, I believe, this season 2 introduced as the secondary tier, and of course over time Tier 2 and Tier 3 have been added as the leagues renamed to Tier 4, which just to more fit in with the sort of the branding of the league. I think that's a good way to describe it. Ghost Angel 1 though, on the softs. I didn't even realise he was on the softs. A man that is, again, he's been here as long as I can remember. A mainstay in this Tier 4, and one that's definitely going to be for the season.
I hate to burst your mojo right now, but MKP, he's all over the back of Tomo Tip Top. So excellent pace from MKP to recover that much gap. But MKP now, he's going to line up a move into turn 1, or even just before turn 1. As MKP, he's going to go side by side with Tomo Tip Top, the superior straight line speed showing for MKP now. As they both break late into turn 1. Tomo in the inside, which will turn into the outside. He makes contact with MKP. MKP gets the superior traction, and Tomo Tip Top cedes the position. But the battle's not over yet, as they're going to go side by side into Curva Grande. No, Tomo Tip Top thinks better of it. And that's that skirmish done for now, but only for now. But don't count out SEFC either. He's sitting pretty there. And if you're him, you're probably in the best position at the moment.
Yeah, he's going to have the D. Oh, as you see that almost lose, he does lose it through Les Mode 2. That is a certified commentator's curse there from you, Liam. I don't think it can be denied. I was going to say, sitting there pretty with, of course, DRS and a double slipstream, he can conserve that battery, conserve the tyres a little bit, and then push later on in this race. He now finds himself in P7 after that spin, luckily keeping the car intact at the moment. 14 runners here on lap 15 as we're just about to start lap 16, of course. Tomo Tip Top and MKP looking to be battling it out for the lead in the meantime. Of course, Tomo Tip Top with that 3-second penalty still to come into play. Maybe one, of course, might be removable from the stewards. I'm Depends on the circumstances. I know it was, of course, a turn 1 mishap, but might be one for review. We shall wait and see. Ghost Angel 1 was closing into the back of Maverick. Now a little mistake through turn 2, so I lost 2 seconds from the car in front, so never mind that. And once again, Liam, we're back into some little gaps here.
Yeah. Actually, let's talk about in real life Monza now. In real life Monza has been on the calendar in F1 since 1950. So, been there a very, very long time. And Ascari gets the name from the first F1 champion, Alberto Ascari, of course, winning it in the inaugural F1 championship back in 1950 with the Alfa Romeo factory team. Not the same Alfa Romeo you see on the Sauber now.
Of course, the proper full works Alfa Romeo back in the day. Of course, it's also got a few other layouts. I would love now, maybe this is the little saddest in me, I would love to see the F1 cars go around the old Monza.
Banking.
Yeah, that would
You
be
are
quite the sight to see.
actually, fun fact, the Monza bankings are more banked than Daytona. I think it's sitting, if I recall correctly, it's around 20 degrees for at a banking at Monza, and around 15 for Daytona. And if you know Daytona well, then you know how banked some of those corners are.
It's certainly a steep banking here in Italy. Would be quite the sight to see. I don't know if it'd be quite the one to drive, but definitely one to sit and watch from the comfort of your own home, especially. Back to track though, SUFC has been closing up the gap to Ghost Angel 1 over the last lap or so. He's now within a few tenths. We've got yellow flags at the start of the lap. That looks to be, I believe, Doom, Faker, and I'm not quite sure who else. A few cars having a few spins. But SUFC to Ghost Angel 1 and Spider Rob to Topher, our closest battles. We'll jump back to Spider Rob at the moment. He's got a nice run down to Parabolica and getting the move done before that final long right-hander on Topher sees him move up to P8. Ghost Angel 1, Ferguson and Murphy all into the pits. Of course, Ferguson and Ghost Angel were on the softs. Murphy still on his starting hards, and Ghost Angel going for the hards, as is Ferguson, to do 9 laps here. A little interesting call, I must admit. Murphy going on to the mediums. You can't help but feel as if they'd went onto the hards at the soft pit stop, they would have been a lot better position. But it is how it is. They will have plenty of life in them tyres to just burn through and really go pedal to the metal.
Yeah. I think them two were the ones that needed to pit, so already serving their mandatory one stop. The only one left on track to serve it would be Topher, who I think if you were him, you'd be hoping on the safety car, praying to Lord that there's a huge collision somewhere that brings out the safety car.
Absolutely praying for everything. You can see the pace difference though, just then, even a few corners there, between the 8-lap fresher tyres on Matt Rowney to Topher, just having a lot less grip through the entry, apex and exit of every corner compared to the newer tyres. SUFC though is having a look at Maverick. I didn't even see Maverick squeak on through. He's had a mighty recovery drive, of course, getting caught up with some incidents in turn 1 by, my memory serves me right, started out on the softs, crawled his way and is now back up into P3. Looking good for a podium, of course. P3, P4.
Oh, and then they contact.
Say that. There's
We have
we wield tonight.
We wield the curse tonight. So, with that in mind, maybe let's curse the front two.
Of course, yes. The front two 14.5 seconds the gap between third to second. 3 seconds the gap from first to second. So we've got a spin. It looks to be Mark Wilson on Scary. Does well, keeping it out of the wall. Big gaps developing here. The closest on track, Murphy and Topher. Yellow flags in second three again. I believe that's just Mark Wilson getting back up to speed. Topher still going here. Do you think he's stretching out, trying to get the softs in right at the end? Oh, it's Murphy! Just another case of commentators curse anyway. I was sitting on board with a TB cam for him. He loses it through a Scary. Again, keeps it out of the wall.
Definitely an oh dear lord moment.
Just
oh dear
turn
lord.
the camera off.
Yeah.
We'll just sit here in the dark.
Yeah. Let's just talk about, you know, Monza being not an epic circuit in league racing. If I do recall, no, I think Bahrain produces a little bit more action, and that's a popular track. But yeah, I mean, back to real life now, since the grid is so spread out. It is home to very unlikely winners. You know, Seb 2008, where he puts his Toro Rosso on pole. Gasly 2020 in the AlphaTauri, still on Minardi at heart or Toro Rosso. And Daniel Ricciardo last year, who takes the win last time out.
Absolutely. So, 3 very surprising winners in very recent memory as well, not even having to go historically back. 2008, of course, only 14 years ago. That was a shock, I must admit, that year. I can remember it. It was very damp conditions, if I mind right.
Yeah, it was in the rain. If I did remember correctly, that Toro Rosso was the last year chassis for Red Bull. Red Bull did produce a worse car than Toro Rosso that year. If we look at the results and maybe judging from Sebastian's prowess, what he could do with the Toro Rosso at the time. I think he was paired up with Sebastian. It's another Sebastian.
It was either Buemi or Bourdais.
Bourdais. That's it. Buemi came in 2010.
He was a bit late.
So yeah, I mean, these records, or stats, almost as old as some drivers here in CRL. Most of them would be Cameron does, but we we ignore that fact. But you know, most of us relics now, we're all down in tier 4. You know, enjoying life. You know.
Absolutely, we've got another spin by the looks of it through a Scary. It looks to be Ghost Angel 1. If the yellow flags are indicative of that, it doesn't seem to be a big spin though. He only lost maybe a few tenths here or there to the cars behind. Closest battle, Murphy and Ferguson. The battle for P8. Ferguson 3 lap hards versus Murphy's 3 lap mediums. You've got to say tyre advantage, Murphy. DRS advantage, also Murphy. Ferguson not quite close enough to the Haas of Ghost Angel 1 to get it himself down the start finish straight, but Murphy not closing the gap quite enough to think about the move into turn 1. Good exit from both of them relative to each other here. So not much of a change in gap as they go around the Curva Grande. Probably see a move sometime within the next lap here, Liam.
Yeah, we will. Should none of them make a mistake. Actually, you know what? I'll stop talking knowing commentators' curses been striking us. So no, none of these drivers will be close to each other, methinks. NKP, he's sitting pretty in first. His pace throughout all weekend, or all throughout the race, I should say. Much much superior. There isn't really much I could say.
Yeah, he's been very, very solid in this race. Of course, put his car on P3 in qualifying, retiring early, so maybe never got to show his true one lap qualifying pace, but he's certainly shown it now in the race. Ghost Angel 1 and Maverick opting to pit. That's a very strange choice from Ghost Angel 1, I must admit. Pitting after 5 laps on the hards, losing out a couple of positions to cars behind, and of course
He's
entering
going on the
Maverick as well.
softs.
Is this maybe just a cheeky, let's, you know, I'm only going to get maybe 6th, 7th at best, try for the fastest lap?
Yep. I mean, a lot of drivers are now on the softs, so you know they're competing for the fastest lap. One driver going to strip it away from the other, so.
Well, fastest lap at the moment is MKP, who is
Oh,
down to 2nd with a spin around Parabolica.
commentator's curse.
I would say the spin happened just before I was going to talk about his fastest lap, but he's lost out huge time on Tomo Tip Top. This is now a battle for the win. Of course, he had it comfortably with Tomo Tip Top's 3-second penalty. Now he's 3.7 seconds behind. Anything can happen.
FCFC, he goes into the pits. Very interesting. Oh, he lost his front wing.
I wonder if that was in relation to the MKP incident. Maybe a little bit of contact between those two.
I doubt it.
I don't think they were nowhere near each other on track, but whether it was... We have seen a little bit of ghosting issues in the game, but I'm not too... Answers on a postcard, I think, is the only really answer we have for you folks at the moment of what's happening there. But a lot of cars on these softs at the end, and you get somebody like SUFC who has had good pace. He could have a very good chance at nicking in and stealing this fastest lap right at the death of this Grand Prix. Of course, the track really going to be rubbered in here. Currently still watching this battle between Murphy and Ferguson for P5 now. It was for about P8 a few laps ago, and now it's for P5. Just shows you how much can change so quick when it comes to league racing here.
Yeah. I think this race, in relation to the other CRC IV races, this one has been quite a downer. I must admit. It was from Brazil, anyways. Brazil was such a high, and then now it's just kind of, been down a little bit. Driving standards have not.
Stretch grid, and like you say, a little bit of incidents here and there. Maybe not playing quite to the spectacle we'd like to see at Monza, but we are seeing a spectacle of Murphy going down the inside of Ferguson into turn 1 with that DRS assistant season move up to P5. Yeah, I'm not quite sure off the top of my head what the next circuit is. Hopefully a little bit better racing wise. Just for general racing, like we've seen before, it's not always the cleverest of track when it comes to
Ferguson, Murphy going side by side now. I'm sorry to cut you off there, but they were side by side until Curva Grande and the exit of the second chicane. So once again, proving our point with commentators curse. We willed it tonight, and we willed it with such
yeah, definitely. I'm not sure
anger.
If that was an incident or if it was Murphy losing it on the curb. There is that little curb on the exit. I'm not quite too sure. FCUFC seemed to lose it as well. He was ghosted. Maybe just run wide and a reaction to that. But next week, however, I've got high hopes for next week, Liam. We go very, very close to your hometown. It's, of course, Japan. Those that don't know, this man is not just
No.
Irish.
It is the closest race. I think Singapore might be closer.
Singapore might be closer. It's your second closest race to your homeland. Of course, those that don't know, the man in the commentary booth, I'm just wholehearted Scottish. He brings diversity. He's Irish, Filipino. I must admit, a very, very interesting mix. I don't think
Specific.
I've ever heard of that combination before. But Topher going down the inside into turn 1 on Murphy. A very, very audacious move. They make contact front left to rear right. And Topher losing out on that. But to be fair, I don't know if the move was quite on with the distance he had. Battle's still
Well,
going here and there.
to be fair, scrapping that fun enough. We'll hop on board with Tomo Tip Top just for this last few moments or dying moments of this race. I mean, from lap 1, he had that penalty. Did well, stayed out of trouble for the most part. And if it weren't for the penalty, he'd be taking the win. But for now, it's just a provisional P2. MKP, though, a lot left to be desired, I think. If he hadn't made that mistake to Parabolica, it would have been an easy left-right goodnight for the rest of the field. Let's just put it that way.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at his pace. There was a 3.7 second gap a few laps ago. That's down to a 1.4 second gap from Tomo to MKP. MKP's race pace has been really, really just a league of his own. SUFC though has took that fastest lap there as that was going on, but it's going to be Tomo Tip Top who rounds the final corner to cross the line first. But provisionally, MKP will be the race winner tonight. Tomo losing out on the penalties. The next 3 cars all having penalties here, Liam, but all of 3 seconds, all the same. So unless something silly, something strange happens here, we're not going to see a change in the running order. Spider Rob coming around Parabolica will cross the line and be provisional P3. Matt Rowney will cross P4 for AlphaTauri. Ferguson P5. We've seen a few incidents involved with him on the receiving end and on the giving end, so not the cleanest of races from him, but he does bring it home in P5. Maverick P6. SUFC, your fastest lap of the race, and P7 for him, so of course a bonus point on the cars for himself. Murphy P8 with Topher just short behind, but Topher having that 8-second penalties, even if he could make a move in Murphy, it isn't going to gain him anything. And Ghost Angel 1 will be the last of the finishers on the lead lap.
Yep, and Ghost Angel 1. The last car to come across the line will be now. As we wait for him. Crosses the line. And that puts an end to the Monza GP.
The 4th round here in CRL's Season 7 Tier 4 Championship. Spider-Rob given the driver of the day by the game, as you can see. Provisional results then. We'll move very quickly on to those. MKP in the AlphaTauri walking out to take top step on the podium. Tomo Tip Top losing out with that 3-second penalty he received into turn 1 and 2 on lap 1. With Spider Rob in the Ferrari taking the P3. Matt Rowney, Ferguson, Maverick, SUFC, Murphy, Topher and Ghost Angel 1 round off your top 10 with Faker and Mark Wilson, your last points finishers. Doom finishing 2 laps down, your last race finisher. And then Rhino, Hussey, we'll go for Franco, Wiban, Craigo, Wikami, your championship leader, AFL, and MUFC Harvey, your pole sitter, all DNFing from this Italian Grand Prix. Now, I think if my maths is correct, and of course, as the standings are just provisional, but if this was how you would say, MKP will be your new championship leader by quite a distance, I dare say. 18 points at least. He will have the gap on AFL, of course, picking up the 30 points for the win, so taking a good step in his chunk towards a Drivers' Championship. I can't continue on from this, we'll wait for the timer, but Liam, I think I'll ask you, driver of the day, who's it going to be?
MKP easily. I mean, he had the superior pace. I mean, yeah, had that one unfortunate accident, but managed to crawl back his way in. within the 3 seconds that Tomatic Top had, and manages to take the win. So easily my driver of the day. But
Absolutely.
Tomo Tip Top, he comes in close. He definitely wins runner up, I guess, if that exists.
Secondary driver of the day. Number 2 driver of the day, shall we say. For me, it's got to be MKP as well. Very, very good race pace from start at P5. I believe it was P3, but obviously P5. And then, of course, having a nice, relatively clean race and working up well through the field. Second to that, though, big shout out to Spider Rob. He was P16 from the grid and up to P3 at the end, so a very, very solid drive from himself. I was just looking there to see if there's the little car display thing, but I can't find that, so we'll just have a look at the calendar then while me and Liam sort of round off with things. Overall, a little bit of a chaotic race, a lot of action, a lot of
Dull moments too.
yeah, plenty of moments. Next week though, Suzuka, Japan, another historic track. Absolutely brilliant to see on the calendar. I think this game as well, it's a very, very nice track to drive.
Yeah, you'll have obviously the famed Senna S or Schumacher S's, I believe. Dunlop 130R. Could see Alonso-esque moves through 130R, or we could see chaos through 130R. And you know, DRS is all powerful there too. So
definitely, of course, the Degnas as well. That's always a tricky corner. You've got that curb on the outside that could cause some issues. But Liam, I think if it's all right with you, we'll just round things off here. It's been a long enough night. On my return, I must admit my voice is a little bit raspy. Not done this in a few months, folks, so we'll slowly get back up to speed. And hopefully by the end of the season, it'll be the quality we love from CRL, especially when we get these lovely graphics from the one and only AJ Wuhan. Thank you very much for being in the co-commentators box. So Liam, my debut commentating beside you. I know outside of commentary we have quite the dynamic, so it's great to get this.
That's something that's very generous, I think.
that's one way to describe it. I think that's maybe the safe way to describe it. I think if we had 2 brain cells between us, we'd be doing a very, very good job. So the fact we've managed to get to the end of this race, I think we've done very well. But once again, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to sitting in beside you again next week.
Yep. Congratulations and commiserations to our winners and podium sitters.
Brilliant. Well, I suppose that'll round us off here then, folks. Tier 3, of course, was racing alongside us tonight. They, of course, concluded slightly earlier, as they start slightly earlier. But that race, if you missed it, will be available for playback on the CRL channel. Make sure to stop back in on Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. You have Tier 2 starting their action around Monza. I'm not quite sure who the commentators are. I don't know. Hopefully, I believe Jonathan is back this week. He had a little hiatus last week, off enjoying himself at the Belgium Grand Prix. And we might see Hedgehog 11 or another guest amongst the commentators box. And then make sure to join Jamie and the legend that is Danny Fandango for Tier 1 at 8:30 on Thursday night to watch the creme de la creme of CRL take to the circuit of Monza. I've been your host and your lead commentator tonight, CRL Freefall, but you can just call me Scott. It's been an absolute pleasure and honour to be back, folks. Have a very good evening and a wonderful rest of the week. I will catch you back next Monday, 8:15 p.m. BST for round number 5 of CRL Tier 4 Season 7 as we take to the historic circuit of Suzuka in Japan, and we will see how this championship fight develops.